Welcome to Eat, Sleep, Wine, Repeat, a podcast for all you wine lovers who, if you're like me, just cannot get enough of the good stuff. I'm Yanina Doyle, your host, brand ambassador, wine educator, and sommelier. So stick with me as we dive deeper into this ever-evolving, wonderful world of wine. And wherever you are listening to this, cheers to you. Hello, wine lovers, wine friends. We are back with another episode, and I am excited to introduce to you Luma Monteiro. Although I am slightly scared because maybe she's even more enthusiastic and passionate than me talking about wine, but I shall let you guys decide. So she is a wine communicator. She has been featured by Drinks Retailing as one of the top 100 most influential people in drinks. She also recently won the Emerging Talent Wine Communicator Award by the International Wine Spirit Challenge. And so today, as Luma is from Brazil, we are taking things back home and we're going to be talking about the wine situation there. You'll get some ideas on if you're going to travel to Rio de Janeiro, where to fly next, what wine regions to visit, what wine styles you need to try. We'll be talking about Vinhos de Inverno. Okay, this is an indigenous and incredibly new, exciting, innovative way to grow vines in a climate that you would not assume is possible. So you're going to find out all about that in this episode. We'll also be talking about the first DO in the Southern Hemisphere, which is dedicated exclusively to sparkling wines. So you will be learning so much in this episode. Now, my wonderful sponsor of this season, Wickham's Wine, does not have any Brazilian wines. Dan, if you're listening to this, of course you're listening to this. Come on. Everyone wants Brazilian wine now. You're going to need to go and find one. But anyway, thank you as ever for being an incredible support to this podcast. Everybody, when you're not buying Brazilian wine, remember you can use my code EATSLEEP10 for 10% off your first order. Right. Are you ready for some new wine information? Pour yourself a glass of wine and let's go. I am going to start the episode by asking you what sparked this incredible passion for wine, because your passion, I think it meets mine. It's equal.
Yeah. Yes. Well, this is what we do with wine, isn't it? You have to be very passionate about it.
That is the rules.
That is the rules. So when I was in Brazil, I was like not working with wine. I've never worked with wine until I came to the UK. It was a hobby because I wanted to learn more. There is no wine culture like people, wow, I drink wine on a Tuesday night, Beer is really what dominates in Brazil. And I was always curious because I was thinking, I want to learn more. When I go to a nice restaurant and I see the menu, I want to see what it is about. And I want to understand what I'm drinking. Because, imagine in Brazil that you have zero contact with any of these wines. And then suddenly you're like, oh, you have this Bordeaux here. I said, what is Bordeaux? You know what I mean? Like, I had no idea. Rioja. What is Rioja? Is Rioja grape? Is Rioja a region? So I was curiosity, and then I did a course. I did
in Brazil.
In Brazil,
okay,
in Rio, because I am from Rio. In Rio, there is a very good school. It's called the Association of Sommeliers from Rio, or something like that. Translated. They are very respected. They have one in Rio. They have one in São Paulo. They have in the capitals really. And they are very good, and they form sommeliers as a profession, But they have this course where you can do as an amateur because you want to learn more. You don't need to do the service; you just do the wine bits. And I really liked it. And then after that, I had a group of people, so we meet up, we try wines. So you may. That's the wonderful thing about doing any of these courses, I guess, anywhere in the world. Whoever's on your group, you realize, oh my God, we have the same passion. And then it's wonderful to then share wine with them and continue your development. When was this? When did you do that first course? It was back 8-9 years ago. Okay. Because was it big then? Because again, the culture of drinking wine in Brazil, it's only really been in, I think from reading in the last 10, 15 years that lots of, wines have actually been imported into Brazil. Because I guess before
there was a lot of American hybrids or different species that were coming in. That's the grapes that were grown were not the Vitis vinifera grape varieties that we know about.
Because Brazil is interesting. So Brazil was a wine production country. It's different as a wine consumer country, because producing wines have been produced in Brazil, I don't know, many years, back in generations, 5 generations.
Yeah.
Because when Italians went to the south of Brazil and they started living in the south of Brazil, they brought with them vines. This is the reason we have Vitis vinifera in Brazil, really. But we have Vitis lambrusca, which is what they do, the wines they drink for own consumption. Because, it's almost like Italians, when they go to places to live, they bring with them, in the past, they used to bring the grapes and they used to produce for themselves because they drink wine. And this is what was happening in the South, I'm talking about many years ago. But then when we had contact with vinifera is when the wine production started doing properly in Brazil. But was not 10 years ago. What changed 10 years ago until nowadays, I think, as a production country, is because the method got more sophisticated.
Okay, yeah.
So they started doing wine seriously, and not just sparkling, because sparkling has been done in Brazil for many years, especially with Moscatel. So we have a very...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's award-winning every year for the Moscato sparkling, which is very similar in style to Moscato d'Asti, really.
Oh,
it's
lovely.
A sweet, low alcohol, made by Moscatel, same grapes, But now the producers started doing serious traditional methods with Chardonnay, Pinot Noir. We don't have Pinot Meunier in Brazil. Or experimenting with new grapes. And the winemakers started traveling as well and knowing more.
Mm-hmm, that's what it is. Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that is the majority. I'm saying that some, producers started doing that. It's still a long way to go, but I think changed a lot. As a consumer, Brazil was never, you don't have the culture of wine. This is what surprised me when I came to the UK, because here, people know, if you say Bordeaux, people know what is a Bordeaux, If you say Rioja, people know what is Rioja. While in Brazil, it's very difficult. First of all, we don't have access to these wines because they arrive very expensive in Brazil.
The taxes? Okay, yeah.
The taxes are horrible and monstrous in Brazil. So it's very, very difficult. But we have a lot of wines from South America, because South America, you have the agreement, the commercial agreement, which is called Mercosur. And then you get these wines with 0 taxes. And then, so we used to drink a lot of Malbecs from Argentina, wines from Uruguay. You see in Brazil, you find it. And what happened, I think, is, especially with COVID, is people started drinking Brazilian wines, because I think Brazilians were not drinking, because even for Brazilians it's expensive, because if you're doing wines in the south and you try to send these wines to the north, it's impossible. Brazil is huge and very expensive to send things around. It's huge. It's very difficult logistically to send things between states, and it's expensive. And also, Brazilians don't drink a lot of wine. Nowadays, it's changing a little bit. São Paulo always have been drinking wine, because São Paulo is the commercial, really, center of Brazil, where, the elite of Brazil they make money. Rio is quite similar in style, but Rio people, it's very hot. São Paulo, you have a lot of continental, because São Paulo is huge, so you have the continental in the middle. Rio is it's coastal, it's hot, so people drink beer.
Okay. Yeah. So it's interesting. So when you were going to restaurants, though, they did have some wines and some European wines, and that was really the only opportunity that you tasted them and started going, hey, there's something different here.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
When did you first drink Brazilian wine? Or should I say good Brazilian wine?
Yeah, that's good. So when I started having contact with Brazilian wines, really when I started my course, because they comment about Brazilian wines and they're like, oh, this is a good producer. And you're like, oh, I've never tried this producer before. So let me try. So I remember some of the wines that I've tried in the beginning, and it was amazing. I was surprised. One was Aurora, which I think they are cooperative.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But Aurora is one of the ones that has amazing sparkles, and Valduga. Valduga is one of my favorite producers. really.
Okay. I think I might have tried one of their wines because I think they're brought in, I'm going to probably butcher this, but Cave Geese.
Kavgaisi. Yeah. Yes.
That's what I meant. I'm sure, but I tasted quite a few different sparklings, but the one that definitely in my head, because I just loved the bottle as well. It was quite fat on the base. It's quite memorable and the quality is amazing. Kavgaisi. They I've definitely tried.
Kavgaisi.
Oh, Kavgaisi. There we go. I'll try. Thank God you're here. Now, we're going to talk about sparkling wines in a second, but actually the reason that we decided today to talk about Brazilian wines is because you've had an amazing experience recently getting to present maybe like 30 bottles of Brazilian wines to Tim Atkin, who, for anyone who doesn't know, is one of our top masters of wine, incredibly knowledgeable. So that must have been so fun. So I want to know, what wines did you show him? What did you choose? What did he think? Like, wow, tell us everything.
So it's interesting because it started 1 year ago. I was in a tasting with Tim, it was a dinner.
Okay.
And with Domaine Busquet. So we were like, we were talking about everything. So I was talking to him because I was thinking at the time to join the MW course, So I was chatting, and then I said, there was no intention at all. It was just like a comment. I said, oh, by the way, I saw you were, I don't know, he was in South America, and he goes a lot to South America. I said,
of course, yep.
Have you been to Brazil? And he was like, oh, I've been many, many years ago. How are the wines in Brazil? I said, Tim, changed a lot. If you went there 10 years ago, the wines changed, the producers changed, the style changed. They are like much better still wines that in the past we were never paying attention to that. And he was like, oh, really? I said, yes, you would be surprised. And he said, would you grab some producers and show me some wines? I said, yeah, I can do that. And you were like, yes. So that I told him, I have some producers that I really like, and I think they're really excelling in winemaking. And I can grab, send them a message, see if they can send some samples, and then we can do a tasting. He said, yeah, fine, okay. Grab the wines, and then we schedule a date. Fine. And then, it was me after that. I was like, oh, wow. Let me now talk to all these producers that I really like and that I really enjoy and see if I can get the samples to show him. And this was all last year. So I contacted some producers that I really like. It was 7 producers, I think, but they sent the whole range, which in the total was 35 wines. We were expecting to receive more wines this year, but, because of the, let's say, FedEx, DHL, whatever it is nowadays that I don't even know anymore. Some of them didn't arrive on time. Some of them got lost. But, this was the ones that I could grab, and then we were just trying to find a date. That was the challenge, because I was traveling.
Yes. I know, and Tim has promised to be on this podcast, and I think we've been trying to find a date for a year. So everyone, by the way, at some point Tim's coming on, but yeah, I know, and you, my love, are always everywhere as well. So you'll tell us some of your journeys. It was very
difficult for us to find a date, actually, because every time I was in the UK, he was not in the UK. When he was in the UK, I was not in the UK. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly we got a date, and then it was an amazing experience because I had the opportunity to present wines that I really believe in. And I know that, Brazil still has a good path in front of us, but Brazilians are very resilient and they are very creative. And this is what I told Tim. I said, Tim, everything you're seeing here, we've been doing things in Brazil, taking, I don't know, we got struggles, and then we do stuff with the struggles, which is amazing. And I said, this is amazing producers. And the wines were showing very well. I was so happy. We had the sparklings from Valduga. We had amazing wines from Lídio Carraro, which is one spectacular producer. The wines were so pure and not using oak at all. Minimal intervention, no using oak. I'm not saying, and I love oak, don't get me wrong, but sometimes you can lose your hand with oak. And they were just showcasing no, we can do amazing wines without any oak. And we had some oak versions as well, which was amazing, very well done, very well integrated. I think I had a feeling that Tim really enjoyed, and we were discussing what we are going to do next. He said, Luma, we could do a top 50 Brazil, because he does the reports, top 50. He does Peru. I think Peru was the recent one he did. He said, oh, my worth going to Brazil. I said, yeah. And he was like, how many days? I said, 10 days. Because Because you can go here, and then you can go to the south, you go a little bit to the southeast,
Well, okay, actually, we should stop for 1 second and talk about where these wines actually have come from. So as far as I know, unless you're going to tell me about something new that I don't know, basically the majority is really down in the south of Brazil, where, Uruguay starts. So we are talking in the southern area. Obviously, did many of your wines come from Serra Gaúcha, or actually have some of the other wine regions really started spiking and producing top quality? Tell me, because for me, when I talk to people about Brazil, this is my knowledge. I'm like, right, Serra Gaúcha is the region you want to go to. And within Serra Gaúcha, there's the first DO, which is dos. So sorry, my Pontero, I'm trying to go Spanish here. I'm like, but it's Valle dos Vinhedos. And I remember doing an episode with the original brand ambassador, well, not original, but the brand ambassador at the time of Miolo. So anybody who wants to go back and hear about Miolo, that winery, that was, I wrote it down. Okay, episode 28. My God, going back so far.
Cool.
And she describes this as the Tuscany of Brazil. So this is the area. I'm like, this is it. There's so many other sub-regions now. And I think Campania, right on the border of Uruguay, is quite exciting. But that's it. I'm done. Now I've done my knowledge now. I have to hand the rest over to
you. So the production is concentrated in the south. It's not just in the south, but it is concentrated in the south. The last time I looked at the figures, I think 85% or 90%. It's between 85 and 90% of the whole production of Brazil is in the south, and is in Rio Grande do Sul, which is the state where you have Campania, where you have Serra Gaúcha. Serra Gaúcha is the most famous and the biggest one. So
That's how you pronounce it.
Serra Gaúcha.
Oh my God. Butcher away, Yanina.
Beautifully. That is correct. You said correctly. That is
no,
it.
I did
it's just
not.
my accent.
Yeah, your accent, which is correct. So everybody, you can say it the crappy English way like me, or pay attention to Luma, who will really tell you how to pronounce things. Anyway, carry on.
So the main state is Rio Grande do Sul. And the reason is because you have the climate. So the south is cooler. And you have the altitude, because all these vines and vineyards we are talking about is in altitude. So Serra means hills. So Serra Gaúcha is like hills, And of course, inside of Rio Grande do Sul, you have Serra Gaúcha, Campania, which is closer to Uruguay. But you also have Santa Catarina, which is another state doing amazing wines. We are still in the south. And then we can go to the north, because the north is a very interesting even for me, because north is hot, proper, arid, hot. It's crazy how they do wines there. But they do the wines near the river, which is São Francisco. So, and a very fertile land. So sometimes they do 2 harvests per year. So they do 2 harvests.
Yes.
Because there is a confusion with what we do in the southeast of Brazil.
Right. I think let's do this.
Harvest, yeah. So harvest is, they harvest twice because it's a lot of grapes, because it's very fertile. And they do wines over there, and the weather is hot, proper. But, they manage to do the wines, and the wines are good. And then you go to the southeast, that before in Brazil, we never did wines in the southeast. Southeast, I'm saying São Paulo, Minas. We don't do wines in Rio, as far as I know. And then I'm going to say that someone is going to,
listen, of
Instagram.
Course.
We do wines in Rio, somewhere in Rio. Gosh, okay, guys.
Disclaimer,
Brazil.
There's always an outlier to every fact and everything you ever say when it comes to the world of wine, right? Yeah.
So as far as I know, São Paulo and the Minas is where, and then we are going to discuss probably because I think it's the most interesting thing I've seen. One of the most interesting things I've seen coming out of Brazil, which is called the dupla poda, which is the Vinhos de Inverno, is the winter wines that allowed the southeast, which is São Paulo and Minas, to make wines, because before it was never done there.
So what is this? What is this Vinhos de Inviernos? So it's the winter vines, right? That's what it translates as.
Yeah. So when I said in the beginning, Brazilians are creative, and I swear to God, I'm so proud of this country. I'm a proud Brazilian, you know?
Good. Right. Make us proud for you. Okay. So what are they doing?
So what they're doing is in Minas, which is another state of the Southeast. Southeast is composed by São Paulo, Rio, states, because we have the cities, but I'm talking about the states, the big states. Minas, São Paulo, Rio, right? In Minas, there was this university where a teacher of the university is called Murilo. I don't remember his surname. I have to check. He discovered and created a way of you pruning the vines that you invert the cycle of the vine. So instead of in summer, you have flowering, winter, the dormancy.
Yes.
The way they prune it inverts it. So winter is the harvest and the dormancy is in summer.
And sorry, because I haven't actually been to Brazil. Is that because in your winter, anyway, it's still really hot there? Is that why?
São Paulo can be slightly cooler in winter, but we are talking winter here to 16 degrees,
right?
Which is cold for Brazil, you know.
Yes.
16. So sometimes we go to 10, you know, São Paulo. South goes to 0, minus, you know. But São Paulo, Southeast, is the average is 15, 20.
For everyone listening, because it's like, oh my God, this is a bit of my head. Right, let's focus on this. Right. So the idea of then making the vine cycle, the growing season happen through winter, if your average temperature is about 15, 16, this is now what you're doing, basically creating a cool climate region in terms of the fact that if we think about in England, it's like 14, going to Champagne, it's around 15 and so on. So this is you're creating a cool climate wine growing region by shutting it down during the summer when it's super, super hot.
Exactly.
So how?
Is by the pruning. So then it's very technical for me as well.
Yeah.
Probably we need to find Murilo and ask him. But what I know is the way you prune it.
Yeah. Okay.
Is the pruning.
Right.
And, you know, even in regions around the world, you can delay your bud burst, so you can, you know, by pruning it.
Yes.
So I think the way they found to prune it is how you keep the dormancy.
Incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess this is something, we don't need to technically know, but that is crazy because I've never heard of this. I assume this is the only place in the world where they are inverting the season.
So I would risk to say that is the only place because I don't know anyone else doing that. And they started doing Minas and then they went to São Paulo.
Right,
you know?
Right.
And there is one winery in São Paulo that got last year. And this is what like blew my mind because it was the producer that got the cover in the Decanter magazine last year because the Syrah got gold medal.
Oh, what producer?
Guaspari.
I'm pretty sure that I have one of their whites in my fridge right now, which as we record everyone, I may open it up and this may have been at the beginning of the episode. I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet. So maybe I'll have already spoken about this by the time I actually play this episode. I'm sure because I bought their Syrah and then I think their whites, which again, it's so funny that people are probably already have heard me talking by the time they get to this part, is a blend of different grape varieties, like a Chardonnay, maybe Viognier Sauvignon Blanc or something. I think
so. I think they have a blend. I think they have one just Sauvignon Blanc, which Tim tried. We had Guaspari with him. We had a Viognier, pure Viognier, 100% Viognier. And we had the Syrah. I think we had almost the whole range of reds from Guaspari.
Yeah,
and Guaspari is in São Paulo.
That's such, and I had no idea. So this Guaspari, I've just, good old Google, just to double check, and it is the bottle in my fridge waiting for me. Guaspari Vale da Pedra Branco. And it is a good memory, me.
You good memory. You've got very good Portuguese as well.
Girl! It's a Sauvignon Blanc Chardonnay Viognier. And for everybody, this wine is $24.99 from Go Brazil. If you're in the UK, that's for me, the place where I've gone and bought all of my Brazilian wines because they've got an amazing selection, haven't they?
Have an amazing selection. Amazing producers there. Some of the wines he sent me, some of the wines for team that I couldn't grab the producers to send me because it's going to be very expensive. He sent me from his stock, which is Nick from Go Brazil. Go Brazil is a great store to really look online, and you can buy online. All these wines we are discussing, Guaspari, Niolo, Valduga, he has them all.
Mm-hmm. And I daren't say Cav Guys.
Cave Guys, he sells Cave Guys. And Cave Guys, no, you said it correctly. And Cave Guys, he's the owner. The founder of Cave Guys. He was from Chile and he went to live in Brazil.
Yeah, I remember.
And the wine is fabulous. And he was the only one. I'm going to give a spoiler alert now about our conversation, but he is the one. He's the one that is allowed to use the new Rio.
Oh, okay.
Altos de Pinto Bandeira. Cave Guys.
That makes sense because from that region, I always knew he was the top producer.
He's the top producer.
And funny enough, if anybody reads the World Atlas of Wine, Jancis Robinson, sadly, it's only one page on Brazil, but that means it's a really easy read. I remember when I was reading that, she was talking about the Pinto Bandeira, but they were hoping, because of the higher altitude parts were producing some incredible sparkling wines, to eventually get a DO. And they now have, right?
They now have.
So when did that DO come through?
Oh, I don't remember. I don't know if it's 3 years. I know it's recent.
That'll do.
Because I was 3 years, someone is going to, it's not 3 years, you don't know what you're talking about. Exactly. I don't know the year exactly.
It's
but
fine.
What I know, and I think is quite interesting with the DO, is just 4 producers can use the DO Altos de Pinto Bandeira.
Mm-hmm.
And it's high altitude sparkling wines. And apparently, and I didn't know that, I discovered that recently as well, which is also, everything I'm saying is also in an article that Julie Shepard from the Campus, she wrote an article last magazine about Brazil. And she talks about Vinhos de Inverno, which is the winter wines. And she talks about the DO, the new DO. And is the DO, the only DO in the Southern Hemisphere dedicated to sparkling wines.
That's
there
awesome,
was
isn't
no
it?
other DO doing exclusively sparkling wines in the Southern Hemisphere, which I thought was like, wow, amazing.
That's amazing because now you've got these inverted vines going on in Brazil and Sao Paulo. Who would have believed it? It's cool to be able to say you've got this DO making exclusively sparkling wines in the Southern Hemisphere. It's great, these lovely little ticks. So I love the fact that already you've name dropped lots of amazing wineries. And by the way, everybody listening, go to the show notes. There'll be a link to the transcript. So all of these wineries or wine regions, you could actually double check and then look up, because that will make your life far easier. What else did you show Tim that now that other people you can recommend? Or you can take us to one of the other wine regions?
He was like, his comments was very nice. Like, so he was saying, Luma, these wines are very, some of the wines that, even the ones that we were not sure, it was like, there is potential here. They can definitely, seems to be very consistent and nice. He got surprised, and actually me as well, because it was the first time I tried a wine from Valduga. It's called Surlai.
Okay.
The name is Surlai. It's actually like
on the lees.
On the lees.
Okay.
On the lees. And if I'm not wrong, it's 36 months on the lease, the wine, if I'm not wrong. The wine was lovely. And there was like one of the highlights.
What was the grape variety that they used?
Chard and Pinot Noir, if I'm not wrong. Or maybe just Chard. No, I think it was both. I think it was a blend.
As a white wine aged on the lees.
Sparkling.
Oh, it's sparkling.
Traditional method is sparkling. And that was lovely. And also, he was really surprised, was Teroldego, which is an Italian grape.
Say it again.
Teroldego. So I think it's a grape from Friuli.
Okay.
Julia. Oh, now the Italians is going to be enraged. I don't remember where it is from.
Getting yourself in so much trouble. Never mind.
Gosh. It's going to be an engaged one. But I'm completely sure it's from the north. Yeah. I'm not sure where in the north it is.
Yeah, okay.
So the grape is Teroldego. The name of the grape is a local indigenous grape from that region. And we do in Brazil. And it's not just one producer doing it. And we tried the one from Lídio Carraro, which was lovely.
Okay.
We tried one from Dom Guerino, which was also very good. So he was surprised that Brazil was using that grape. But Brazil is using now a lot of Italian grapes anyway. So Sangiovese recently got very high scores in the counter.
Interesting. And just to make sure that we don't upset the Italians, good old Google, I've done it again. I know, check it. I'm just,
Yes.
I'm on fire. And it is from the Trentino Alto Adige region. So
Okay.
you're completely
Trentino.
right. Yep, you're completely right, up in the north, but that specific region. Okay, everyone, Italians, is everyone okay?
Yeah,
Can we move on
everyone
now?
okay? Everyone survived.
Have we got through
no
this?
haters in my Insta, please.
Oh, I love it. So you're talking about quite a few Italian varieties are there. Logical, seeing as the Italians came over to the south. For me, I've always gone Merlot is the red grape variety of Brazil. Is that losing favour now? Obviously, Merlot has always done well there, but is there other red grape varieties that are taking over?
I don't know the figures, to be honest, but we plant in the south everything. So we have Sauvignon Blanc, some of the most remarkable wines. So, for example, one of the top wines from Iolo, which is Lot 43, is Lot 43.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
There is a Bordeaux blend, so we have most of the international grapes. So Chardonnay,
Yes.
Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Noir. We don't have Pinot Meunier because Pinot Meunier doesn't do well in Brazil.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's the majority, and I would say Merlot could be because Merlot plants very well and goes very well in Brazil. But I think they started doing a lot of more diverse varieties like Sangiovese, a lot of Sangiovese, Terol de Gaulle, which is very interesting. Cabernet Franc. Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah,
Any
I know.
opportunity
Yes.
to get a Cabernet Franc from Brazil. And I say that now this one, I will put my feet on the ground and I will say,
Oh, okay.
Cabernet Franc is one of the most remarkable wines I've had from Brazil. Casa Valduga that has one Cabernet Franc that is absolutely delicious. The wine is delicious.
I want
Beautiful.
I want
That one is a must try. And
All right.
I had a friend when I was doing my diploma. I had a friend in my course, and she tried it, and she sent me a picture. She tried it in a restaurant, and she sent me a picture. She will know when she listened to this. And that was a Cabernet Franc, and she was like, "Luma, this wine is amazing." I said, "Yes, I told you." And she said she has a great palate. She has a great palate, and I was so proud when she said, "I said, yes, I told you, it's amazing."
That's amazing. Okay, that's so exciting. Okay, so everyone look out for some Cabernet Franc. Check out some Italian varieties when they're there. The sparklings, of course, at the end of the day, for me, have always been, they're the calling card of Brazil. The majority, are they traditional method? Because all the ones that I've ever tasted have been. So I don't know whether that's just they're the ones coming into the UK. I know you mentioned there's like a Moscato d'Asti equivalent, but is a lot of Charma methods?
Some producers do both.
Okay,
So I think, for example, Miolo, they have both. They have Charmat and they have traditional method. I would risk to say that the high quality producers do traditional method and don't do Charmat.
Yeah.
But if you're a commercial big producer, you are going to do both. And you are going to find on the market. I remember when I was in Brazil, but then I'm talking about 10 years ago, going to a shop, the sparklings I was finding was traditional method. So I don't know really, but this is what I was always finding easier was traditional method than Charmat.
Yeah. Well, you'll see it on the label for anyone looking. It will say if it's traditional method or not, won't it? Okay, right. What I want you to do for us now is you're from Rio. Most likely when people fly in, they're going to fly to Rio and enjoy the place there. Where should they fly to? What's your recommendation? Like, I don't know whether you can give us this 2-3 day itinerary where someone can fly out of Rio, experience a wine region, and then come back. Where would they fly to? What would they do?
So I would say, for you to experience, and you have 3 days, you have to go Vale dos Vinhedos. You have to go Serra Gaúcha because it's the concentration of the producers are there. And it's going to be easy for you to, go between producers, it's concentrated. Unless you have like more days and then you can go here and there. But like I would say Vale dos Vinhedos, Serra Gaúcha, right? And you have to fly. You have 2 options to fly there. Or you go to the capital of Rio Grande. Is the capital? Yes. Porto Alegre.
Okay. Someone's going to come back to you.
Guys, I've been studying wines for 3 years. All my geography from Brazil is gone. No, but you go I think it is. You go Porto Alegre. Which is the biggest. Or you can go Caxias do Sul is the name.
Okay.
Caxias do Sul. But you have more flights, Porto Alegre, really. This is what I did when I went there. I went to Porto Alegre. And from Porto Alegre, you have to get a bus or You have to get a private car, and then you go to the region.
How long does that take?
I think it's 42 kilometers from Porto Alegre, 40 kilometers.
It's funny, isn't it? You know, when you go to wine regions and you forget, like, do you know what? I was just happy. I was excited to get there. I have no idea.
You don't check, do you? Yeah, I don't know, guys. I might need to check.
Okay, so that's probably about, what, an hour and a half, depending on the roads and the traffic. Okay, that's fine.
When I went, I will say what I did, and I think was very cool.
Okay,
but I didn't stay in Vale dos Vinhedos. Maybe if you're 3 days, stay there, because then it's easier for you to go here and there. I went to Gramado, which is another city. So I arrived in Porto Alegre. I went to Gramado. Gramado is a beautiful, bucolic, beautiful town. I think it's a town in the south. And from there, you have many, many, many agencies doing day trips.
Right, okay.
So would be a different scenario, because, you're going to see something else, especially if you go in the time that they have like the cinema festival, which is amazing. It's the most important of Brazil. When is the festival? So it's called Festival de Cinema de Gramado. One sec.
Okay, it's just one. No, it's fine. Look at you. You're going on Google now, aren't you?
I am. Have a look. I'm learning.
Exactly. Listen.
Normally August.
Okay, August. Okay, all right. And so, what happens there?
It's a festival. It's a cinema festival. So it's an award, really. And then international. So, there's a small filmmakers, they go to Gramado and then they present.
Like Cannes in France.
Exactly. It's the Cannes. Yes. It's the Cannes of Brazil. Exactly.
There you go. Okay.
And then a lot of things happening in the city because everyone goes there because of that. So you have like these parties. I remember the year I was there, we had this huge party nearby, which the DJ was David Guetta. Can you believe that? David Guetta in Brazil, man. It was amazing. And everything happens at the same time because the city gets on fire. So I love it to do that because I stayed there. I did all these activities and I did the day trips to producers. Okay. So I visited Miolo, Peterlongo, which, another curiosity about Peterlongo, that is a good one.
Okay.
Did you know that Peterlongo is the only producer that can use in their label for their top wine the word champagne? Champagne. I am talking here. I swear to God. They have a... So, what happened is, Peterlongo was doing sparkling and calling it champagne before Champagne region did the AOC. It was an appellation.
Right.
They fight until today. It's not an easy, The agreement was, because before Peterlongo was using champagne, all the sparklings. They did an agreement with the Comité Champagne. I don't know, like, more details about it, but now just the top cuvée of Peterlongo can be called champagne. And it is in the label, Peterlongo Champagne. Can you believe that? This is mind-blowing. No one in the world can do that.
That's amazing. Thank you for that. Check
Very
that
cool,
out.
Isn't it?
Every day's a school day. I love it. And this also just goes to show, when we say, by the way, no one in the world plants this but us. No one in the world can label something but us. It's like, actually, there's always an exception. So when you say no one in the world can say champagne apart from champagne, it's like, oh, apart from that one producer with that one bottle in Brazil now. Okay, good. Brilliant. What was your favourite winery to visit when you went to Vale dos Vinhedos?
To be fair, now they are like more and more doing amazing wine tourism in Brazil. It is a must do now. So Guaspari is very interesting, but I have not been there. Valduga, interesting, but I have not been there. I was really interested in Miolo. I thought Miolo was so nice, and they have like all these activities.
They do.
I did a cheese and wine masterclass. It's fun. And at the time I went there, I don't know if they are doing it still, but like the money we paid on the entrance, you could go to the store and reverting wines. I don't know if they still do that. So the money you pay for your tickets.
To enter, they give back, so you get the money off if you buy a wine.
If you buy wine in the shop. Yeah. And the shop is very cool, and they have wine. They have a huge range of wines, which I think is also interesting because you can find what you like. So if you want like a very easy drinking, sparkling wine, you have it. If you have a serious Bordeaux blend, you have it. If you have a rosé that you like, very fruity, they have everything. I really enjoyed it. I think, they are big. They are They are one of the biggest. I think they're the biggest of Brazil. But I think it's fun.
Yeah. When I did the chat with Miolo, going back to, Episode 28. They were the largest then. And I think then that sometimes it's really nice to go to one of the largest because they have the money to make the place look beautiful and obviously do activities. I think that you had the opportunity to make your own wine. I think that was one of the activities they mentioned. Like, there's so much going on. And then you got to find one of the small boutique wineries. The best thing I can ever say about the contrast is when you go to, like, if you can manage to get into somebody's like little garage where he's got the dog running around, where health and safety doesn't matter, and they let you climb up, like they let you climb up ladders to look into the tanks whilst you're in your flip-flops. I mean, like, literally, that's the most beautiful experience when you can do the perfect, gorgeous, huge winery with everything on offer, and then you go to the hairy, dirty, behind the garage somewhere kind of winery as well. So everybody do one big, one small at the very least, right?
Yes, you have to, because this is how you understand as well the differences, even in the wine, the style change, because when you were big, you do like a certain style, and then when you were small, you are more free to do other things. It's very interesting. I really agree with you, but I think you have to do both, bigs and small.
To conclude on going to Valle dos Vinhedos, you obviously did day trips. Do they have a wine route, or do they have signs everywhere kind of telling people where wineries are? If someone was just to, like, literally as well hire a car and drive along through the area, would they constantly see signs to this random winery, to that winery?
I can't remember because it was many, many years ago. But I would say yes, because, I know how organized they are, and they are not doing this. The wine tourism in Brazil goes a long way. It's not like new. I think South America in general, they've been mastering wine tourism very well. And I would say they do because, I can't remember, because I remember we did the route, but I was in a bus. Sorry, it was a private one that was bringing us around. So I can't remember seeing but it was many, many years ago.
But then if they were doing that many, many years ago, it can have only improved. So you can already do the day tours. Yeah. I just say that because I remember, like, whenever I go through wine regions, I quite like it sometimes when I see this little sign for winery, chateau, and you're like, ooh, what's that? And I'm always like, if you've got the time, just drive down the route and see what it is as well, because that's when you might find. And very often you can just turn up somewhere, and even the small ones, you just catch the winemaker who's also the vineyard worker. And then he's like, oh, do you know what? No one comes to see me. Sure. I mean, it's all chance, it's all luck. But then sometimes you get the most beautiful stories as well, just turning up randomly to a place you found down.
Serendipity, Serendipity. That is my look. And a tattoo.
I really? Okay, yes. There you go. Everyone, that's the way you need to do it. Oh. So Luma will be joining us next week for part 2, and we will be coming closer to home in Europe, Italy, the wine region of Veneto. Now, this is an incredible region for sparkling, for reds, for whites. Hopefully, you've all listened to episode 155, where I was telling you about the Conegliano Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore DOCG wines. But if we're talking about red wines, we're talking about Amarone. So we are talking about the wine region Valpolicella. If we're talking about white wines, we're talking about Soabe and the Garganega grape. So Luma is going to be going into detail about those grape varieties. And so my wine quote of this episode is actually said by the character Miles Raymond in the movie Sideways, where he says, "I'm not drinking any effing Merlot." And so next week's episode is exactly what you need if you sometimes feel that way. No, thank you everybody for listening. As always, I absolutely love it when you send me feedback, send me emails, which you can do to eatsleepwinerepeat.co.uk, or on Instagram, direct message me at eatsleep_winerepeat. Your reviews, your ratings on Apple Podcasts and Spotify massively help the podcast to grow and be shown all over the world. So please do take 2 moments if you are enjoying the podcast and take a screenshot, put it across on your socials so everybody knows where to find us. And so as I prepare for next week's Italian episode, I raise my glass to you all. Chin chin, salute, cheers to you.